This Avengers Doomsday plot leak sounds insane. I particularly like what it says about the Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Kangs, multiple, plural, all of them, and Doctor Doom himself. Now, like all leaks, take it with a grain of salt. This was actually sent to me on X, which took me to MCU Verse, and they even claim that this is a unconfirmed anonymous leak posted to Reddit. But here's the thing, about 70% of this, as I read through it, it's been reported already. So I would say about 70% of this is actually things that is basically confirmed to actually happen in Avengers Doomsday. And a lot of people who have read this already actually say that this is pretty dark, but I actually think that's the direction that Marvel is going to go. And Infinity War was dark as well. I mean, the ending of Infinity War was a pretty dark ending, and I think that's how Avengers Doomsday is going to end as well. But of course, like all leaks, take it with a grain of salt, but I do think it's pretty interesting. You'll have to let me know what you think. Let's dive into it. So according to the leak, the true origin of the multiverse collapse isn't Kang, it's Steve Rogers. Again, this is one of those things that we've heard a lot about this already. And this is particularly why Doom is after Steve Rogers. And it seems like the Russo brothers kind of did have a plan to bring back Steve all along, Chris Evans all along, because it does seem like if they didn't have the plan before, they have a really good plan for it now. And obviously he's going to play a big role in the movie because of him going back in time. It clearly did something. So according to this leak, I guess the origin of the collapse of the multiverse is Steve Rogers, which that's pretty big. But when Steve went back in time at the end of Endgame and chose to stay there, he unknowingly triggered a chain of incursions across realities. Every altered timeline began crashing into others. And who was the biggest victim out of Steve Rogers' chain of events that he set off? Victor Von Doom. So Victor Von Doom seems to be sort of a king of his time. It says this version of Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, of course, comes from a 31st century timeline where he ruled Latveria as a monarch. So he had literally a kingdom at his home in Latveria. This is something that we've heard before as well. He was married to Sue, not Richards, not Storm, but Sue Von Doom, since they were married. He was married to Sue Von Doom. He had two children. This is a little new. Two children, Franklin and Valeria. He already discovered the multiverse, and since it's, in the future, that makes a lot of sense. And it's actually taken a lot from Kang's story in the comics. Kang is actually from the future, from the 31st century. He discovers time travel, and at that time, time travel is illegal, but he discovers a time travel machine and goes back in time, and that's the start of Kang the Conqueror. He actually goes back in time to ancient Egypt. The Fantastic Four defeat him, and that's how Kang actually starts to hate the Fantastic Four. But actually replacing him with Doom in this scenario in the MCU would make a lot of sense as well. And I have believed this entire time that Marvel has basically replaced Kang with Doom and is going to transfer basically a lot of what Kang was doing to Doom and saying it was Doom's doing. So he ruled Latveria as a monarch. He was married to Sue Von Doom, and they had two children, Franklin and Valeria. He already had discovered the multiverse, but the incursions caused by Steve Rogers wiped out his entire universe. So his family, his wife, his kids, his kingdom, his world, his entire universe gone because of Steve Rogers. Again, this is something that we've heard before, so this checks out already. And I do like this. I really, really do like this. And I like this idea as well. There's a sentence here that says, he is a villain that is not, your typical mustache twirling villain, but he is a grieving god. And I actually really like that point. And we've recently heard a lot about Doom tricking the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, everybody, to making them think that he's actually the good guy. This puts a good twist on it, or this explains it in a very good way, what's about to come up. So we just heard this the other day. The movie allegedly opens from the point of view of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's universe collapsing. So the sky tears apart, another Earth comes into play. That Earth is experiencing an incursion with another Earth. So as everything is collapsing from this Earth, right at the end, a portal opens up and someone from the TVA takes Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and saves him. This is kind of cool. It says no heroic music, no victory, just loss. And that's like the opening scene. Very dark, very somber. But I do believe to really kind of show the threat that is ahead for Avengers Doomsday, not just Doom, but the multiverse collapsing, this is a good way to show it. And it puts Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in right away. So I like that as well. And again, this was reported the other day, so this checks out. So here's where it gets pretty intense here. It says Doom slaughters the Council of, it says Doom, but I think they mean Kang here, slaughters the Council of Kangs, which I really hope happens. I actually hope that we get that Ant-Man and the Wasp post-credit scene that has all of those Kangs there in that stadium, and then Doom just shows up and says, hey, thanks for all gathering in one place for me, so you made it easy for me, and then boom, kills them all. Something like that. I really hope something like that happens. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. So it says he uses the fact that he looks like Tony Stark to manipulate heroes, which I think makes total sense, and that is definitely something Dr. Doom would do. He revives Wanda Maximoff using Franklin Richards. We have heard a report about this in the past as well, and I've really liked this, especially because in the Fantastic Four First Steps at the end, Sue Storm dies, and her son, Franklin Richards, brings her back. We already know he has that power. So if the Scarlet Witch is indeed dead in the MCU, Franklin Richards bringing her back is, I think, a pretty dang good way to do that. And I actually think Dr. Doom being the one to do it, via Franklin Richards, is a really good angle, because then the Scarlet Witch probably thinks that Doom is good, but then he promises her something. According to this leak, he promises Wanda her children on Battleworld. So I think basically where this is going is Doom, he's already realized the multiverse is doomed, no pun intended, and he has already in his mind formulated his plan that basically says, I have to rule over everything. Everybody's screwing it up. The Kang guy screwed it up. He tried to do some stuff. It didn't work. I'm the only one who can truly save the multiverse. And the only way to do that is to actually just rule over one world, put a bunch of universes into one battle world, and I will rule over it. It'll be my way, and I'll control everything. And that's how we'll have peace in the multiverse. Well, we won't have a multiverse. It'll just be one thing, but we'll all live, which is basically what happens in the comics to an extent. But he promises her children on Battleworld is what this says. And I like that. So he would revive her. Again, we've heard this report in the past. And then he would say, hey, I'm the guy who brought you back. I need your help. And if you help me, I will give you your children on Battleworld. You can finally be with them. And keep in mind, Vision is returning in Vision Quest. So the idea that Wanda could finally get her whole family, obviously really compelling to her. So it goes on and it says, only 3 Earths remain. Earth 616, which is our main sacred timeline, Earth 828, the Fantastic Four universe, and Earth 10,005, the Fox universe. Doom sends Doombots to attack the X Mansion, and we have heard that they're Sentinels. And even in the Cyclops trailer, we can see giant legs in the background, and they look like Sentinels, and it makes sense that they would be Sentinels. So maybe the leak thinks they're Doombots, but they're actually Sentinels, or maybe we all think the Sentinels, they're Sentinels, and then they could actually be Doombots. Maybe that image, maybe that scene that we're seeing from the teaser is actually in the past. We don't know yet. But what we do know is the X-Mansion gets attacked, and it does seem like it's going to be Sentinels or Doombots. Either or, the result is kind of the same. And this frames the MCU, or the sacred timeline, as the aggressor. So Doom promises Magneto a mutant nation, Krakoa, on Battleworld. And he gains their trust. He gains the trust of Professor X. This leads to the Avengers versus the X-Men, which is very interesting. This is a little bit of a different twist to it. Before, what I thought was Doom was going to attack the X-Men, and then the Avengers were going to show up, and they would basically perceive them as hostile because the last person who showed up, Doom, was hostile. And of course, this isn't confirmed, but this is actually a cool way to do it. And again, recently, just over the last week, we've heard that Doom is going to, at least for, 40% of the movie, 50% of the movie, half of it, is going to try and portray himself as the hero, which actually we've heard from multiple sources at this point in time, that's what it is. So checks out. So we get the Avengers versus the X-Men, Sentry versus Professor X, which is another report that we've heard. Professor X wins. Doom steals Cerebro. This is interesting because at the wrap party for Avengers Doomsday, there were pictures on display of Cerebro. Like, people there were taking pictures with Cerebro. They were they were actually showing cast members with Cerebro on from the set. So Cerebro is definitely a part of this movie. So Doom stealing it makes a lot of sense. And he could magnify Cerebro with the powers of Franklin Richards and turn it into a multiversal device, which I think would be cool. And it says that Franklin teleports him away. Classic Doom. No one realizes the truth until it's too late. Yep. So Doom tracks Loki to the end of time, it says. While Loki leaves the TVA to speak with Steve Rogers, Doom invades the TVA, massacres everyone, and destroys the organization entirely. This is interesting. I mean, we've all expected Dr. Doom to either rule or destroy the TVA, but this says he leaves the TVA. I don't think Loki could physically leave, so I'm wondering if he's just projecting himself, which means he can't really see everything. He can only see where he's at. So he probably is still sitting on that throne. When it says he leaves, it's probably just him projecting himself into a timeline to speak to Steve Rogers, and he can't really see what's going on, just what's right in front of him at that moment, which would be Steve. That's how I would imagine this. Going up to the TVA, destroying everything, it says he then defeats a multiversal Avengers team, and the team includes Deadpool, Wolverine, Gambit, X-23, Toby and Andrew's Spider-Man, McAvoy's Professor X, which is really interesting, and Fassbender's Magneto. Haven't heard those two yet, but we've been wondering, are any of these other X-Men going to show up, or just the, original ones from the Fox universe? And they all lose, which I think at the end of it all, yes, everybody loses to Doom except for those who choose to join him. And like I mentioned, Doctor Strange is one of those people who I thought in this has a pretty cool story, because I am under the impression, and this is how it is in Secret Wars as well, that Strange is going to join Doom. And we've had that leaked concept art showing Sheriff Strange at the side of Doom as his right-hand man, just like he is in the comics. This explains it a little bit. We'll get to that. So it says some moments, insane moments from the leak. Steve Rogers lifts Stormbreaker, not Mjolnir. Doom absorbs the void from Sentry and kills him. Doomsday, he kills Professor X. Wanda kills Jean Grey, and I've heard a plot leak about this before, and I thought that was pretty crazy. Jean transfers the Phoenix Force to Wolverine. That's pretty crazy as well. And Doom kills Thor in front of Loki. I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think that happens. I don't think Thor dies. I really don't. So a multiversal team called the Cabal attacks remaining Earths. It's interesting because in a big plot leak that we heard before from reliable people, reliable insiders told us that, yeah, there's going to be obviously a bunch of groups doing different things, but Wakanda and our Earth is getting attacked by some other force that is not Doom. It could be the Cabal. And he does have a cabal, or a cabal exists in Secret Wars in the story. They're not exactly his, but they're on a life raft. But here's the cool part. According to this leak, the Cabal will include Superior Iron Man, Captain Hydra, Maestro Hulk, and King Thanos, all of which we have heard at some point in time a report that they are going to appear in this movie. And that would be pretty dang cool if they were his team, if they were Doom's team, and they were the ones attacking Earth and other Earths while Doom was dealing with the TVA and the multiversal Avengers. That would be pretty crazy. And this is where it says, with no options left, Doctor Strange switches sides, not out of evil, but out of necessity. I really like this because I always thought, and I still do think, Doctor Strange is going to switch sides. He does that in the comics because it's kind of like Doom is saying, hey, the whole multiverse is about to be destroyed. Wouldn't it be better to save one thing? Strange is like, yes. So they get on Battleworld. He rules everything. And Doctor Strange is one of the only people, with the exception of Molecule Man, I believe, who remembers anything before. The universes before, the multiverse before. He's aware of it all. And even when Reed Richards and them come on the life raft, they're like, you knew this whole entire time. Like, you let him play God, blah, 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 blah. And Doctor Strange is like, he's very good at playing God. And he did save us. So it's like, okay, to sacrifice a little bit to save something makes sense. And I think that's going to be the same thing here in Avengers Doomsday going into Secret Wars. And that's how we get Strange at the side of him. So it says everyone wakes up in a medieval warped reality. And the medieval part, we have seen that in the leaks as well. Even that one scene with Doctor Strange and Doom on the throne, it looks very medieval. Everything has changed and Doom is on the throne. Kang is gone. Doom is the new multiversal god. And it does say that Doom engineered the sacred timeline. MCU Victor Von Doom was adopted by the Starks. They named him Tony Stark. Doom allowed this timeline to exist until Steve broke it. Now, that was the original story for Kang, I think. What Marvel wanted to do for Kang and Kang Dynasty. So, like I said before, perhaps they just kind of transferred it over to Doom. I'm curious how they're going to handle the Kang Doom story. I do want to see Doom show up and basically kill all the Kangs, but I'm curious to see exactly how they handle Doom controlling parts of the multiverse. So this is the leak. And like I said, and as you've heard now, it's pretty crazy. Again, about 70% of this, I think, is indeed going to happen. The other 30%, not sure. If this leak is accurate, this is going to happen. It's going to be insane. If it's not, well, again, 70% of it is probably going to happen. I like it. There's a few things I would maybe change, but overall, I actually do really like this. The only thing I would really change is Doom's origin, because I really want him to be directly related, not actually related, but like have a history with Reed Richards of the 828 universe, because that's a big part of Doom's origin. But maybe they can just say in his universe there was a Reed and they had, you know, a rivalry there too. But in that universe, he got Sue and Reed didn't. We'll have to wait and see on that. But let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it'll happen or not? Let me know all your thoughts. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.